Hello friend, how are you? Welcome to Tripan Study Center. Today we are doing most important chapter of history. What is the topic today? The economic in there is the 18th century India. There is important. The economic in the 18th century India. The 18th century can hardly be said to be exhibit when the substantial is economical continuity between two it is the earlier and later part. It was a period of the considerable is a politically turmoil in India, one in which their state were formed to the resolve in a quick sensations, and that there was a great deal of the fluidity in a system. It is of course the truth that arrived by there is a military force would have a causal to the declarations. The destruction of the aggregation is a tanks. There is a foreseeable explorations of cattle, wealth. And even to force a mass of the masses of people were not unknown in the war of the 70th century as there are after. All this is a must have had to the harmful effect on the economical stability and really to their impulse to about to the growth. And when the view from to Delhi that 18th century is the continental a gloomy period, the attack of the Nadir Shah went to the Ahmad Shah Abdali, and finally he is attacked by the Rohillas, who is controlled to Delhi in a 1761 to 71. Put the city is a state of regular destruction, and this is a perspective can hardly has been to the share by the inhabitant of other centers in India. Within the three Vedrams, Pune, Patna, and Jaipur, and there was a process economical is a rotation that is a company the political decentralization of era, and it is on the account of the this that of the experience of Delhi and Agra cannot be generalized. However, there are conditions of different reasons where to not be uniform. In some, the first half of the 18th century of witness is a continued expansion Bengal, Jaipur and Hyderabad. For example, while some other where is a later is a bloomers as it is the case of Travancore, Mysore or the Punjab. No single chronology of economical is a prosperity and the decline in the likely therefore to be fit all the reasons of the India in the epoch. Depth there is some keys of weakness and there are contradictions. The economical of 18th century of perform well in the sphere of agriculture. Inland trade of the urbanization and there were some area which is a say is agricultural decline. Often because of interstate is a warfare in the Punjab and part of the northern India. The lack of new agriculture method and techniques was overcome with their experience and management of the land and labor. Data of the Tassim paper use and the compare the vis-a-vis any in the Akbari proved that it was not be lack of cultivable land but there is important and there is some area which is a agriculture decline of this because the interstate welfare is a Punjab and part of the northern India. There is important here the compare wise the NA Akbari. The proof that it is a not is a lack of cultivable land but lack of the labor and peace which is the resulting into the decline agricultural production and fluctuating agriculture price as well. At the same time, the price is rise to benefit the peasant, but is unequally is according to the vertically divided section of peasantries. State except to the tribute from the system of agriculture is a commodities and production that tied to the village and expensive network of commercial mobility and exchange. It is a noteworthy that respect for the major substance crisis in the South India between 1702 and 1704. The first seven declared of the 18th century in India were remarkable free of fame. The great is the Bengal fame of the 1770. It is which is estimated to the one third of their population proceed to the occurring is soon after the conical conquest. And this is followed by there another destruction is a mine in the northern India in 1783. The overall of favorable the land the labor ratio had enabled to the highly mobile peasant and tribal is a labor to be neglected is a reasonable term with the controller of land. But the scarcity is a revenue a demand made the peasant is distractions are regular phenomenon and particularly in the northern India. Well, some village is a notable managed to the transform of revenue form into the heredity of the state and other fell their sequence from to powerful regional state as a Tippu as a Monsieur. A population of production price and wage tended, generally speaking, to be on the gentle upward as incline and during the 18th century. The fragmented political did not be hamper the development of the travelings of inland trade in the grain and cloth and cattle. Corporate or merchant institution are transcended a political boundary in our signing the transportation of good and the provisional credit and insurance of service. Pre-conical era artisanal is a labor, especially is a beavers, had to apple scope from successfully extracting extravagant or demand by the intermediate social group and the state. Even in the West state like a later 18th century, a monsieur appearing to attack the intermediaries rather than to the labor evidence from Bengal and Madras and suggests that the urban labor was a versus of in relation to the state and the market in the earlier chronicle than there is the immediate of pre-colonial period. Being in inland is traded well the Indian sweeper and merchant involved in export of trade decline in the force of European advance. The great is a Gujarati port, a city of Gujarat loss is important around 7020. The 7020 is the most important year, and there was a insurgence is a demand for India goods in the both West and Southeast Asia in the later 18th century in addition to the Europeans' demand. But by no British is a merchant and sweeper had achieved a dominance at the expense of Indian and took the bulk of the profit. As the old commercially center of the Surat is a Masulipatanam and Dhaka is a degenerated is a colonial and port cities like Bombay, Madras and Kolkata took there is a pride of place. But the decline of the Mughal capital of Delhi and Agra was upset by the rise of regional capital, including Lucknow, Hyderabad, the various Maratha city and Sri Nagapatnam, and there is a level of urbanization was clearly highly in the 80 than the century before. The 18th century before there is important and what had to change in the urban center was the relative balance of power between the ruler and merchants. In some instance is a commercial and financial magnate is there is aggregating himself a power of the state. It would be also appear for a variety of reasons that the mid 18th century the mark of significance changed economical sphere. For example, when the English East India Company got a hold on the revenues of the Bengal Sabha, their flow of the money was adversely affected. Well, the earlier Bengal received a gold and silver in exchange for its export. This pattern no longer held. In later part of the 18th century, the peasant were forced to cultivate contain a cash crop like indigo and opium. And this had observed their impact on the food crop production. But another reason why the later half of the 18th century differ from the period before about 17,050, there is a changing character of their war in the post 1750s period. The welfare is become a more adaptive of the civil life and economical protection than before. And at the same time, the new techniques is a use made it is a for more expensive proposition. This use of firm arms on the larger scale. The implement of the mercenaries and the maintenance of standing army, and all this is a hard and harmful effect. The next here are social context. There is important according to the 18th century India. There is the social context. The social life is the 18th century. There is India was a continuation of the past legacy, and despite of some universal feature of social culture unity throughout India over to the centuries. There was no uniformity in the social pattern. The society was divided into the multi-layered identities on the basis of religions. And religions, tribe, language, class, and caste. There is a most important society divided by to the multi-layered identity. There is a religion, tribes, language, class, and caste. Hindu were divided on the basis of the hundred of caste. There is a most important here. The Hindu were divided on the basis of the hundreds of castes. The caste was divided by their birth, fixing the permanent place of the people in a social hierarchies. Intercaste is a materialist, and the intercaste dividing was the foreigns, and traditionally caste was the basis of their profession, but by the 18th century to some extent to social and professional mobilities was began to the followed. And for example, Brahmins started to adopting various progenies and periodics trading activities. The caste continued to be a major divisive force. That is important here. The caste continued to be a major divisional force. The Muslims were also influenced by the consideration of the race, caste, tribe, and status. That is important here. The Muslims were also influenced by their considering of race, caste, tribe, and status. The Shia and Sunni had a major religious difference. That is important. Muslim divided two parts. There are Shias and the Sunni had a major religious difference with the Iranics, Afghani and Turin, and the Hindustani Muslim. Has a lot of difference to be stand apart from each other. People is converted to the Islam, carried there is a caste into the religion. The basic social unit was a family based on a practical is a pattern expect or Kerala, whereas a materialized system was prevalent. Women as were to expect it to the live as the role model of the ideal daughter. Wave and the mothers, women of upper classes. In southern India had to follow up the child marriage is a prevention, and the marriage was a social obligation between the two families. Among their upper classes, polygamy and dowries was the prevalent, but the greatest evil of the 18th century, India were a custom of the sati and the condition of the widow among to the Hindu. There is important here, 18th century, there is sati custom in the Indian society. The education system could not be changed according to the requirement of the time. It is important, not education system could be not changed according to the requirement of the time. The curriculum and was confined to the literature, language, law, and religious is a philosopher and the logic and executed the study of physical and naturally science, technology, and geography. There is important here that is century there is a study of the social, physical, and natural science, technology, and geography. There was a lack of progressive idea as a theoretical framework and dominated. Elementary education was a disparate and the mediums of higher education were Sanskrit and Persians only. Moreover, the education excluded female and low caste people. That is the most important here. Moreover, their education excluded to female and low caste people. Next topic is the most important here, the culture milieu. There is a most important the culture milieu in the 18th century. Today I will discuss here 18th century of culture condition in India. There is a most important topic here. It is journalism maintained that is the 18th century a witness a general decline in the material life. The culture life and period also has often been to the degraded, and however there is appear to be a little justification for such a portrayal of the 18th century. Even Delhi was the economical condition is a unique callous decline. Had a number of major is a poet and philosopher and thinker in the sports from to Shah Valehal and the Mir Taik Mir. And further is a design to the court is great important. They tend to take on the function of the principle of tone of high culture, whether in a music, the visual art and literature. It is the also is related to the dispersed center, or ranging from the Awadh to the Bikaner and the Lahore to the Tanjore. That is a fine their quarterly is the tradition of culture presiding, and the Tanjore is under to the Marathas is a particularly fine example of culture elforance in which literacy product of high quality of Tamil and Telugu, Sanskrit, and Marathi continued, with some of the Marathi rulers themselves playing a significant direct role. Similarly, it is the 18th century Athaneswar that the main is a composition of what is today known as the Karnataka and tradition of India classical music, and come to be written by such as men to the Tyagaraj, Mutal Swami, and Dextra and the Syama Sastri. The finally the period of both the development of a distinct style of painting and Thanaswa. Fusing of element is imported from the northern with the older local tradition of textile painting. This volatility was not be restricted pure to be religious culture. To begin with the many of their threads and music tradition, as well as a formal literacy as a generous of the period and picked up, and the is an incorporated is a folk influence. At the same time, the interaction of popular Hinduism and Islam give a particular flavor to the culture activity associated with there is a pillar image and festivals. More than in the earlier century, the tradition of the long distance pillar image to be major center for the Varanasi to be a Rameswaram. Increasing and the can be a seen to be fit in with the journey trend of increasing mobility. It was a common for a post-Mughal state to be employed to the mercenary and soldier and imported to the scribes as a clerk. In the 18th century, Hyderabad, for example, is a kasta from there is a north where is employed in there is a large number in the bureaucracy. In a Masur, Maharashtrians, Brahmans, where is given to the physical of ficals as an official and earlier as the 7th to 20th century. It is apparent that is a mobility of the musician, man of the latter and artist was widely prevalent. When a major new political center emerges, it is rapidly and attract to the talent. As evidence is a Ranjit Singh as a Lahore. Here, Parisans is literature of high quality was produced, but not at a cost of literacy output in a Punjab. At the same time, new development were visible in the field of the architectures and their painting. This is important. Further to northern and principality of the Kangra is a fostered an important new school of painting. Devoted is largely of Vaishnava themes. The cultural assimilation was the outcome of mutual influence and respect. Among the major religions, the Marathas is supported the swing of the Sheikh Muhyiddin Chishti in Ajmer, and the Raj of Tanjore financed the swing of the Sheikh is Sahul Hamid as a Nagur, and Tipu Sultan of Mysore is supported the Sringavi's temple, and the Muslim joyfully participate in the Hindu festival, just as the Hindu were is a part of the Muharram's processions. And indeed, it to the surprising to the large proportions of what is understood today to be a part of India's traditional culture is the attributable to this is a period and also is a preceding century.